So just a few thoughts this year on Purim. Not necessarily a complete sermon, but just, some thoughts. When thinking about what is the book of Esther really talking about, or what did I catch from reading it this year? And for me, I was very much struck by Mordecai and Esther's interaction. When Esther exclaimed to Mordecai that she was anxious about what would happen, not just to her after it was declared that the entire Jewish population would be destroyed by Haman's decree, but also her cousins and her family and the like. And she didn't want to necessarily express who she was. And it was Mordecai who really taught for times such as these. And really, for times such as these, Esther was in the right place at the right time with the right skills and the right tools to address what needed to be addressed. And that, in this case, facing her own mortality, she went before the king and was able to, as it were, save the day. When I think about what's going on globally, Zelensky in the Ukraine in many ways is that same figure. At least he is for me in today's world. Here you have a gentleman who is a Jew in a country that's predominantly or historically been anti-Semitic. You have a man who has done Dancing with the Stars Ukrainian style, is a comic by trade, an actor by vocation, and yet after winning the election in a fair and democratic process, and recognizing that it was not an easy thing to go about doing, has been able to stand up and whip up support globally, not just amongst his own people by visiting individuals in the hospital, but by speaking in front of Congress in this country, in Canada, in Germany, in many other places. He has gone above and beyond. And shockingly, when I've listened to people who have looked at who he is as a leader, they say essentially the same thing, that in many ways he has surprised them. But he has stood up to the challenge and met the challenge. And I could think of it in our own lives too. How frequently are we able and willing, when faced with challenges and hardships, able to stand up and meet them? The funny thing is, and I think this to be true, is we're presented oftentimes with similar challenges again in our life until we truly learn the lesson that we need to. Maybe the faces are different. Maybe what's going on might be a little different. The details may change, but ultimately the challenge is there. The question is, have we learned and have we grown? In the case of Esther, it appears that she did. When she first came into the king's palace, here she was, this orphan girl, Hadassah, Esther, raised by Mordecai, and yet she was able to win out the king's heart through poise, and who knows what she did with him that night, but whatever it was, a miracle transpired, and she became the queen. The thing is that we all have the tools to meet the challenges that our lives will send to us. We can do amazing things. Sometimes we need to turn around and ask for help, but that's a tool. Sometimes we need to do things that make us uncomfortable, but that's a tool. And I want to believe that when we are faced with life's challenges, some of which can feel overwhelming, and the suffering can be at times unbearable, we still have the tools to face it. And so for me, that's what the book of Esther tells me this year. We can face life's challenges. We can face them with compassion for ourselves and with others, and that we can meet the burden at hand.